When my marriage ended after 7 years, I was left feeling unfinished, broken, and angry. I was angry because all of a sudden I had become a single mother against my will. And at the same time, I decided to put all that anger and that frustration into becoming the best ever Supermom. I decided to do it the best way I knew how, which was to follow the example of my own family. I had a mom and a dad. Mom was a nurse, dad was in the army. I had 3 brothers. 1 was older than me. He thought he knew everything. 2 were younger than me. They knew nothing. And we had 2 dogs, Butch and Sinbad. And so I kind of looked at that equation and I said, I'm not gonna be able to have the dad. He left, not gonna be able to do that. Not gonna be able to do the 3 brothers because I was a single mom and I wasn't gonna do that. But I could do the dog. And so my son and I embarked on a journey. We went down to the shelter and we picked up little bitty Chihuahua named Teakwood, Optimus Prime, Coupe, DeVille. Because a little dog must have a big name because he has a big vision and a big future. We only do big things. Oh, did I tell y'all I'm from Texas? And so me and my son and Teakwood started this grand adventure. My son and Teakwood, they played together in the snow. They spent all their time together, taking walks, doing all the great things. And then the Air Force said, we're changing your schedule. You are going to start working a crazy shift. And thus began. Teakwood went into the dog kennel and stayed there. My son went into the child development center and he stayed there. And I called my sidekick Lupe to help me with life because I was trying to balance being a single mom, being an Air Force mom, being a dog mom, cleaning the house, making the food. Where is this grand picture I said was perfect? And so one day I come home and I need to make the dinner, right? There's no one else that's gonna make it. I look at my son, he's playing on the floor with Teakwood. I look at Teakwood. Teakwood looks happy, had been in the cage all day, finally let them both out so they could play together, be together. And I'm stirring the spaghetti. That's the easiest thing to make. It's kid-friendly. The kid is picky. The dog is picky too. They can both eat the same thing. And I'm stirring, and I start smelling something because my superhero strength is my superhero nose, and I smell something, and it's not the spaghetti, it's not the tomatoes, it's not the garlic, it's not the green peppers. It smells rather rank. And so then, after I'm stirring, I come around, I let go of the spoon, I come around the kitchen island, and I look, and I see my son wiping the floor. And he says, look, Mommy, I've cleaned it up. But he didn't clean it up. He smeared it. He smeared Teakwood all over the living room carpet. And I knew at that minute and at that moment, I could either be a boy mom or a dog mom, but I could not be both. In walks Lupe, my trusty sidekick. She looks at the floor, she looks at the dog, she looks at the kid, she looks at me. My hair is all over my head. I'm still in uniform, trying to cook this spaghetti. And she says, I love little dogs. It's a good thing she didn't say she loves little kids. She says, I love little dogs. And I look at her and I smile. And then this memory comes back of my idyllic childhood. And it was the one day my dad came home from being in the field. I told y'all he was in the army. My mom was working nights as a nurse, and it was me and my brothers, and my dad came home and said, you guys are not taking care of these dogs. Now, I was 8 at the time. I really didn't know how to take care of a dog. I barely knew how to spell it. And one day we came home from school and the dogs were gone. They were gone. Dad had taken them for a ride. and we fussed. We cried, "Where are our dogs, Dad?" And he got back in his truck, and he drove back out into the country, and only one was there. So he brought back one dog. That dog's name was Sinbad, and Sinbad stayed with us until I joined the Air Force. And so I said, well then, I'm not going to be like my dad because I'm superhero mom. Me and Lupe came up with a plan to transfer ownership of Teakwood. So in order for me to not be like my dad, I decide I must take my 3-year-old with me because that's the best superhero thought ever. Yep. And so I do. So me and Marquis, that's my son, we are driving and we're getting ready for this. And the only thing I've told him is we're going on an adventure because everything's an adventure at this point. We're going on an adventure. We've already packed all of Teakwood's things. We've packed his kennel. We've packed his toys. We've packed his food. We packed everything. And my son is like, oh, we must be going somewhere fun. And we meet Lupe in the Target parking lot. Lupe says hi to Marquis. And then she says, hi, Teakwood. And she comes to pick up Teakwood, and I start moving things into her car. And I say, Marquis, say bye to Teakwood. And Marquis says, Teakwood? You see, me and Marquis hadn't really had a conversation about this. I thought if I just put him in the car, he'd just get it. Teakwood! Wood is now with Lupe, and they're riding off to the sunset. I'm driving back to the base without Teakwood, but with a very angry, crying Marquis. And I call my dad because he's done this before, and I say, Dad, I've taken the dog for a ride. I didn't want to be like you, so I brought Marquis with me, and Dad says, you never bring the kid with you. Thanks, Dad. So, of course, you all want to know what happened to Marquis, right? Marquis is now 19. He's in college. He never did get another dog. There was a fish, but that's another story. And he's doing just fine. I didn't have to pay for counseling yet. I didn't have to make sure that he was going to be okay. Teakwood is a word we don't use in the house that much. But Teakwood, Optimus, Coupe, DeVille will always be our favorite and only dog.